I hate this question. I hate that you asked this question.
I love this question.
I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't Pitts.
What does it say after that? ROS? I don't know. Roster? Maybe? I'm Muth all day. I've been a Pitts hater since before
it's
the
all
draft.
Those touchdowns that Pitts scores that I think is why you should keep him on your roster.
Did you see the question is Muth or Pitts? David, can you hear us?
Yeah, what's the question?
Freiermuth or Pitts?
Rest of the
season.
I was trying to figure out what Ash was talking about, why she hated that. Yeah. I'm still gonna stick with Freiermuth. I have a good friend of mine who gives me lots of very, very relevant information when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I was very high on Freiermuth coming into this year. And then I'm going to stick with him because, one, Pitts has not proved that with all that talent and being so physically dominating that he can take over a game. It could be coaching, could be quarterback play, call it what you will, but the results have not been there. On the other hand, I think Kenny Pickett is about to turn the Pittsburgh offense around as much as he can. That good friend of mine also really hates the Steelers offensive coordinator, which gives me a little pause, but I would stick it out with Freiermuth. I think he will be more consistent and reliable.
And I think with Pickett, too, it'll get better. Like,
1,000%.
Patty's is only going to go up because he'll actually throw it in the middle of the field, maybe, and you'll see a lot more.
It was Patty. I think it was very indicative of what happened. I mean, look at what happened as soon as Pickett went in. He looked to Freiermuth a lot, and he went to Pickens a lot. So this is going to be leading into my waiver wire pickups. I truly think Pickens becomes the Steelers' number one wide receiver option going forward because of Pickett. He's going to. I think he utilizes his talents more. He's got more reps with Pickens than he has the other two guys. So he's already got a repertoire and a chemistry with Pickens. I think Claypool gets very phased to he's the 3 now. I love Claypool. I'm not knocking his talent. I just think with Pickett coming in, Pickens becomes the one receiver, the best receiver in the Steelers offense, and Freiermuth is the number 2 option.
He becomes the most heavily targeted.
Yeah, he's gonna. I think he takes the most targets.
He's the best, but he becomes the most targeted.
He's the best. You see that catch?
I really like Deontay.
I also said before the season started, during all the drafts, I said I would take Freiermuth over Pitts all day. I made multiple statements that I think Freiermuth is going to finish as top 5 tight end fantasy wise, especially with Pickett. So I just think that makes it better. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, you also told somebody to sit Hawkinson last week, so can we really trust you?
I didn't tell anybody. I sat Hawkinson. Hey, do you know who I started him for? Freiermuth. Freiermuth. He had 16 points. I'll take 50. That from my tight end. That's okay. Hey, and Hawkinson had like 3 points last week and 2 points the week before.
No, he had more than that. Calm down. Don't be talking about my Iowa boy like that. He had more than that. Anyway, I like Hawkinson a lot. But you know what? Tight ends. I drafted a tight end early. I drafted Darren Waller early. And every single week I say, this is why. This is why I don't draft tight ends early. Because Waller's been absolute doo-doo. And I'm like, I could have just waited for Patty. I could have just sat and waited for Patty. Or even like a Higbee has been doing much better than a lot of those tight ends that went early. So
Hawkinson's points 7, 5, 10.
Oh, 10.
And then last week.
So there was no 2s and 3s.
7, 5, and 10.
I'll take
which
it.
Freiermuth was higher than this week, which is what I wanted. So I was perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, if you were going consistent, I mean, it made it. If you were looking at previous weeks, it made more sense to start Patty. But Nathan, you have such a good team. I want to trade you. Trade me.
Got another question here. Should I drop Tua if I have Lamar Jackson?
Don't drop him.
Drafted him for a backup. Is it worth making a claim for Julio Jones and giving up Tua? Honestly, do you think he will be back? And what does that look like?
Really quick, I would. If you don't want him, just trade him. Don't just drop him.
I would first try and trade. Look for somebody that has a rough quarterback situation. There has been some injuries and there's been some bad quarterback play with Stafford, off the Matt Ryan, Tannehill. If anybody was waiting and got one of those guys late, or Trey Lance, Dak, and they're kind of playing the waiver wire quarterback, they'll probably take Tua off your hands.
Take Tua.
And I don't think Julio is worth picking up. There's too many other weapons on that offense, and Julio is too injury prone and just doesn't get enough looks for me. I personally dropped Julio last week, so I think that's what I would do. But if you have Lamar, I think you're starting Lamar.
Yeah.
And you'll never start Tua over Lamar. So unless you were David a couple weeks ago when they both scored almost 50, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, I think Tua will come back and he'll be fine. He'll be out this week, but I think after that he'll go back to what he was doing and just be fine. I really like Tua a lot. I have Stafford in the league. I have Russell Wilson in the league. I have Dak in the league, and I would trade those guys and some to get like a Tua. So don't just drop him. There's somebody in your fantasy league that needs a quarterback and would happily take Tua, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would go look at other people's rosters and see who needs a quarterback and start to try and work a deal.
Yeah.
What do you think, David?
100%. I mean, so you said, you want to go after Julio. Depending on what your other receiver options are and what's out there on the waiver wire, I'm not excited about Julio. To be honest, I'd probably go get Beasley before I took Julio, because we all know what Tom Brady does with short, white slot receivers. And I think the two of them, if Beasley learns the offense, I think he could become that security blanket for Brady the way that Gronk used to be. Beasley has phenomenal hands, but there are just way too many options on that team. I'm not excited about Julio. Tua, I still don't think Tua's the guy. I don't think he's a dude. I think he has a lot of amazing weapons, and I think that the league will figure out how to slow them down. I don't think they'll figure out how to completely stop them. But I mean, if you got Lamar Jackson, I would definitely offload Tua. Like the Swinton said, definitely find somebody that you can trade him to, but I would not sweat going with Lamar for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And so the big draw for Julio Jones, his talent, I think, is Mike Evans in that offense. And Mike Evans is going to get the look every time over Julio right now. So I don't think his skill set is anything that adds to the offense. So he's not going to gain anything going forward. Next question is
I feel like they brought Julio in for that security blanket for Brady. Veteran guy, good hands, can be dependable. He was never going to be the guy.
And then Nathan's got a question. He's got Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, and Jared Goff. Who should he drop?
So I'm actually dropping Matthew Stafford and trying to pick up Jared Goff, which sounds like the most bizarre thing in the world, because it was the exact opposite last year. Like, you would be dying to have Stafford over Goff, and now I'm dying to have Goff over Stafford. But
I think the big
Justin Herbert is definitely a lock for me. I love Justin Herbert. I have him in a league. I'm going to ride that until the wheels fall off. I love Herbert.
Yeah, I like dropping Stafford for sure. And I don't think it's because of the talent of Stafford.
No.
A lot of people are writing Stafford off as if it's his fault. I think it's his offensive line. It's a lot worse than it was last year. Allen Robinson isn't Odell. And they just don't have the weapens this year that they did last year.
Ain't nothing.
And it's because their offensive line isn't good. I just don't think their it's not nearly as good as it was last year. He has no time to throw, so it's going to be tough for Stafford going forward. And I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's a personnel issue around him.
Well, that's the case a lot of times in fantasy. It's not for lack of talent. It's just.
Got any insight there, David?
Yeah, clean sweep. Definitely out of the three, I'd drop Stafford. I still don't trust Goff and the Lions, but I'm getting there. I just feel like the bottom's going to fall out because it's Detroit.
Yeah. It's just with the Lions, they score a lot of points. So give me Goff because someone's throwing those passes to score all those touchdowns.
That's the idea behind Tua.
I will say we're sitting here talking about weapons and how Stafford doesn't really have the weapons that he had last year. Well, Jared Goff didn't have DeAndre Swift or the sun god Amon-Ra, and he lit it up. And granted, it's not like he was playing the 49ers in prime time, but I'm impressed by Goff so far. I wouldn't put all my eggs in his basket, but definitely watch and see how it goes.
100%, I agree. This one says, would you trade Pittman and Olave to receive Debo and Juju? I would then have Jettas, Debo, and Waddle at receiver.
Yes.
I would do that. Absolutely. I always think it's the best if you're taking if you're trading the two middle guys for the top and bottom guy. I like that. I want the best guy in the trade, whether it's I'm doing a 3-for-1 or 2 and 2, like a top guy and a bottom guy to get two middle guys. I always want the best guy. Like I want the top guy in the trade, and that in that trade is Debo. Juju, I think, is the lowest on that totem pole, so that's probably why you're making the trade. I like Debo, especially if you got Jettas and Waddle.
You're stacked at wide receiver.
That wide receiver stack is insane.
And with the way wide receivers are going this year, yeah.
What do you think?
I'm going to disagree, but only because we still don't know how high Ryan and Pittman can go, right? And Olave is still an unknown. If he can get some solid quarterback play, obviously they're a mess over there right now. The ceiling for those two, I think, is way higher than the ceiling for Debo and Juju. And so I guess I would probably side with the Pittman and Olave side of that trade just for the potential upside. I might lose out. It's a gamble, but I mean, with Jimmy G taking over again, is it going to be same as last year? Is Debo going to start seeing the numbers that he was last year? We'll see. But
I'll take same as last year. I'll take it with Debo. I mean, Debo's the for sure, I think, in my opinion, in the trade.
Yeah.
He's the known commodity.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like it's more of a known quantity with Debo now that Jimmy G's coming back in there. Whereas there's still some question marks for Olave and Pittman. And they may have a lower floor, but they also might have a higher ceiling. We just don't know yet. So I'd probably roll the dice. I like Pittman.
I don't love Pittman because Matt Ryan's playing like doo-doo. I don't like Olave because he doesn't have a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing good for a rookie. He's putting up decent points. He's probably a little higher than Juju, but I like Juju's quarterback better. Juju hasn't been the worst ever. It's just inconsistent because Patrick Mahomes spreads the ball around or gives it to Kelsey. But I really, really like Debo.
Yeah.
I really like Debo now that Trey Lance is out too. I am not a Trey Lance fan, and I love everybody that plays for the 49ers much better now that Trey Lance is out and Jimmy G's back in. It's just a known. Like I feel like you know what Jimmy G is gonna do. You know Jimmy G is gonna get the ball to Debo and Ayuk at least every once in a while, where Trey Lance wasn't getting the ball to Ayuk at all.
He played in the monsoon.
I don't care.
That's literally all he played in. How you don't know who he's going to get to.
You got it to nobody.
In a monsoon.
I'll do better.
I'm going to skip to this comment real fast. This just says, David, you got crap on the front of your and side of your sweater. So, okay, sorry. Back to the questions here.
You know what, Andrew? You're just lucky that Cooper Clutch did not play against the Bucks because that would have been an L. So just thank God that you didn't have Cooper playing against you week 1.
Cooper Clutch, baby. Hey, did anybody see the Tampa Bay game this week? I know I have it in my notes somewhere. I can't remember what happened though.
I'm not sure Tampa can beat a team that actually is good and has a winning record.
All right, back to fantasy.
Andrew didn't go on last week because
we're Cowboys fans, Sid. It's all fantasy to us.
Nathan said, "Is Jamar Chase for Cooper Kupp a good offer? If you're offering Chase, if you can get Kupp in the deal, take it all day because Cup over Chase all day. Cup is
Higgins is better than
hands
Chase.
down. He said dot, 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 dot. Cup is the number one wide receiver in fantasy football. I don't care what anybody says. They think it's Jettas, but it's really Cup. He's on.
It's really Diggs. But...
Cup? No, it's not. No, it's not. Cup has more catches than Justin Fields has completions on the season. Cup is on pace for like 195 catches or something like that. He's the fantasy wide receiver god.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of stats about how if he continues the way he is, he's gonna break fantasy records point wise, like blow him out of the park. So,
and just like I also said all offseason, Jamar Chase goes ghost in a lot of games, but everybody just remembered the end of the season and forgot that he had a 7-game stretch where he had less than 50 yards.
Yeah,
Higgins is the guy in Cincinnati.
I've been trying to tell the people I'm obsessed with T. Higgins, like obsessed with him, and the fact that he, even getting hurt 2 games and not playing for half the game, still has more targets, still has more yards. I'm telling you, T. Higgins is that guy. You need to stop sleeping on him and quit pumping up Chase all the time. And you want to hear a stat about Cooper Kupp?
Sure.
Okay, so in 2021, 95% of snaps, 94% of routes, 32% of targets, 32% of air yards. This year, already, 99.6% of snaps, 98% of routes, 36% of targets, 44% of air yards. So if he keeps it up, he's gonna blow those numbers out of the water from last year, which is insane because his numbers last year were absolutely insane.
And I think one of my arguments I made over the summer to argue against Jamar Chase and for T. Higgins is I thought Jamar Chase had the breakout at the end because teams started treating T. Higgins as the one, and Jamar Chase got the number 2 guys. I think the offseason hype made Jamar Chase the number 1, and people started treating him as the number 1 now, and T. Higgins gets the number 2, and now he's feasting. So I think it's going to depend. I think this flip-flops a few times throughout the year, going back and forth, just whoever gets the number 2 and whoever's treated as the number 1. Any thoughts on that one, David? I know we talk a lot, but
Cup all day. Yeah. Cup all day. There is something that separates certain players, regardless of their position. But at the end of the day, when the entire stadium, every single person in attendance or watching on TV knows what you're about to do, and you can still do it, that's Cooper Kupp. I mean, the man he's Houdini. Everyone knows who the ball is going to, and yet he somehow still gets open. The guy's special, and I would absolutely take him in this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then next question is, could Christian Kirk get some trade offers? I think absolutely. I think I was not a huge fan of Kirk and his contract to Jags. I would happily take Christian Kirk if I was in need of a receiver. I think he's the number 1 guy. I like Trevor a lot. I think the Jags are going to shock a lot of people this year. I don't think you'll get a lot more for him than you are giving up in Christian Kirk. So I don't think I would shop him because I don't think people are going to see Christian Kirk and be like, I need to give you somebody better. Mm-hmm. And so it's probably not worth shopping, but I would be happy to take Christian Kirk. Like if you're trying to trade him for like a backup quarterback or something like that. And it's somebody that I don't mind giving up.
I like Christian Kirk. Washington beat Tampa. I don't know who's Washington.
Last year.
Sean's over there talking about, that.
You need to be in the now. You're the Commanders now. Move on.
When's the last time Dallas beat Tampa? I'll wait.
Literally never.
Don't be a Tommy, Sean. Root for America's team. There's always a seat right here next to me for you, okay?
How do you feel about Drake London?
How do I?
That's the question. Not you. How do you feel about Drake London?
I mean, is there any context here as opposed to a certain other
Drake
player?
London over who?
To be honest, I like Drake London. I think he's in a terrible situation. Bad quarterback play. I think they throw the ball 7 times last week. So I think he's in a Kyle Pitts situation. Talented with a quarterback that can't get him the ball. So
he scored. He did okay the first 3 weeks. He did really bad last week.
Yeah, I like the talent and the upside a lot. I I tend to shy away from receivers that don't have a good quarterback, unless
That,
they can
that that's why I was
especially-
asking for context. Because he's
better than
obviously the
Olave
guy.
point wise.
Here's the
They love
response
him
to
over
it.
there, but it's Marcus Mariota. So
Yeah, he said, in general, would you make him a starter or Sutton?
Absolutely starting Sutton.
Yeah, I like Sutton.
I like Sutton a lot, actually.
all the way around.
Same reasons.
Sutton scored
Quarterback play, basically.
week 1, 11, week 2, 19, week 3, 17, week 4, 16. So I like Sutton a lot. Better than Jerry Jeudy. I don't really love Russ this year, though, but
I think he's better than Mariota.
yes.
Okay, that's Janae.
Yeah, I thought it was. I'd start Sutton over Drake London, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, as would I. Because Sid alluded to it. I obviously know none of us trust Marcus Mariota. Ash does not trust Russell Wilson at the moment, but I think that you can't be a quarterback with Russell Wilson's history, and not figure this thing out. Obviously, he's going to need some help from the coaching, but we saw it at the end of the game 2 weeks ago, in that just absolute barn burner. At the end of the game, he got fed up with the play calling. He got fed up with the situation. He took over that last drive. He did it with his legs. He did it with his arm. I very much expect Russ to continue to get better throughout the year. So I would stick with Sutton.
Same. Another one here. Y'all like J-Rob, James Robinson, and Damien Harris for Fournette and Kareem Hunt.
I like the J-Rob Harris side.
I like the other side, so I'm curious what David says, and I'll give you my answers why.
I don't know. Robinson, I still wasn't a believer in. Sid was all on that train, and I was like, no, I still don't trust him. And I kind of still feel that way. I don't know. He's balling out, but Lenny and Hunt is solid, consistent. I don't think you'll have the highs and lows that you'll have with the other side.
Damien Harris.
Yes.
You don't like Damien Harris, or?
Yeah,
What's
he
that?
likes the consistency
Do you
of
like-
Fournette and Hunt.
Yeah, but he
better.
didn't talk about that. What do you think about, because
Fournette-
James Robinson and
Fournette-
Damien Harris? Yeah, do you think Damien Harris isn't like consistent or good, or is that why?
No, I was just saying that I feel like you're going to have highs and lows with that side compared to Fournette and Hunt.
Gotcha.
I think Fournette and Hunt will be more consistent. So I take
So
that side.
I agree with Fournette being consistent. I don't think Hunt is consistent at all. Because if Nick Chubb is grinding in a game and they're up, you don't see Hunt at all. So he
Nick Chubb's
disappears.
been balling.
And Nick Chubb has been balling, so I don't like Kareem Hunt too much. But this kind of alludes back to the earlier one. I think the best overall player out of all four is Fournette. So I think I go to the Fournette side. A couple reasons. I've obviously been shouting J-Rob's name from the rooftops about it, and have liked him a lot. But I think they're going to start to this is around the time of the season where rookies start to shine more. Or I guess Etienne's not a rookie, but it's really his first year playing. And I think he's going to get more integrated in the offense going forward. And J-Rob's going to slowly phase out. And Damien Harris, I have Damien Harris in the league, and it frustrates me all the time because I don't know that Patriots backfield is always a split backfield, and Fournette is the only true guy out of the four. So because he's the best of the options, I'm going that way as well.
I just don't like Hunt. I would never play Hunt. I would play the other two. So I'm going to take 2 over the 1 in Fournette because I don't think Fournette is better than those 2 combined. It depends what, I guess, your team needs. If you only need one guy, I would take Fournette. But if you're like very thin on running backs and you need a couple options, I would go the other way. If you had Chubb and you wanted Hunt as like just another security thing, then I would do that. I don't love Hunt though, unless you're just using it as like a safeguard in case Chubb gets hurt.
Right. This one says I traded Brees Hall and cut Michael Carter. Was that the right decision? For me, what I just said, I think my rookies start to take over this time. They start to get integrated more. So I like Brees Hall more than Michael Carter going forward. So I think it is personally.
They like Brees Hall more than Michael Carter too.
Yeah.
His snaps, his touches, they just keep increasing. So the one thing he needs to do to really be able to solidify that is to get more involved in the passing game, because obviously, that's Michael Carter's thing. So I like Brees Hall though.
And then Sean says, how quickly would you go with Brian Robinson? He returns this week. I personally never start or go to a running back, especially if I haven't seen them their first week. I give them a week to see how they are. If they're only get 50% of the snaps, I give them another week to see how they are. But I'm very high on Brian Robinson. I have him in almost every single league, stashed on my IR, waiting for him.
Yeah, I like Brian Robinson looked good before the whole incident happened with him. So, I mean, the Commanders stink, so I don't know. I might just want to avoid better players, but
I mean, it's become very clear how they feel about Antonio Gibson. So, I mean, that job is his once he can physically do it.
Yeah.
So, depending on how desperate you are, I mean, if you don't have a running back to start, throw him in there. I mean,
true.
He's going to get his work. If you still have better options, then yeah, you can. I would follow exactly what Sid said. Be a little patient.
This one says full team is Lamar Jackson, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Jay Jettas, Terry McLaurin, Darren Waller, David Montgomery. He's got Monty or Herbert in the flex. Benches Judy, Madison, Tua, Thielen, Henderson, Knox. Please rate my team. I think you're solid.
I like Lamar. I like Chubb. Josh Jacobs balled out this last week. I don't like McLaurin because he plays for Washington. Good job having Herbert for the Montgomery injury.
Yeah, I don't see very many problems with it.
Madison's a good one to have too. Just Thielen's great. Yeah, it looks solid. Tua.
I mean, the only disappointment I see there so far is Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, Waller hasn't been doing great either.
Yeah,
you have,
but I mean, you're already pretty solid, at the wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking good, man. You're looking real good.
I like it. This one said, really only need Fournette. Hunt can be a buy filler. Y'all rock. Very in-depth. Thank you. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for asking the question. And then Nathan said, I traded George Kittle. Oh, wait.
I traded George Kittle for TJ Hawkinson.
Was that a good decision?
What are you saying?
I think so, because Kittle's a great tight end, but not a great fantasy tight end. They just don't throw him the ball enough for him to be fantasy relevant.
I would love to see George Kittle on a different team.
He's a great blocker. He's too good of a blocker.
Must be nice to have a blocking tight end.
Jahan is out for a couple weeks, which hurts my soul. I like him a lot.
Jahan, I literally moved off my taxi squad because I'm like, screw this. I'm over it. This dynasty stuff is irritating my soul. And then I find out he's hurt anyway. And I'm like, well, I should have just left you on my dang taxi squad.
I agree, Nicole. I think it's the best way to learn about players. You just get so invested in them.
I knew absolutely nothing about football until like 3 years ago. And I still didn't know a lot. And fantasy has definitely made me learn a lot because I know all these guys because of fantasy. There's no other reason I would care about literally all of these guys on all these teams. The only reason I know who they are is for fantasy. I remember when we drafted like the first 2 years, I'm like, who is this and who do they play for? Like, who is this and who do they play for? Like, once we got to like the 4th round. But now I'm good. I still forget some. The running backs I like to mess up sometimes. Like those Houston and New England running backs, I always flip what teams they play for. And I'm like, can they just pick one and have a guy so I remember who they play for, please?
Nathan asked, why can't you put a QB at flex? And that's just basically league settings is flex is either running back, tight end, or receiver. Now you can have super flex leagues, where it's basically a setting that's made beforehand where you can play quarterbacks in flex, but that's not standard. So it would just be something that your commissioner
quarterbacks score a lot of points. We'd all be having 2 quarterbacks playing.
Or you could just go pick up Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Don't do that. Nicole probably likes that.
Don't do that. It was a joke.
Nicole, that's exactly
Nicole's
what
a
Sean
Saints fan,
did.
though.
This one says, Nicole said, if I keep tuning in to your show, though, might get 1 win, and that's a W. That's what Sean did last year. He
literally about to say the same thing.
Yep.
Yes. Just ask Sean. I still hate him.
Ended up almost winning the whole league because of it. Andrew says that he'd wait on Robinson.
There for
Go
ahead.
I was just reading the next comment. No, you're good. What he sat there and with me and you and
just picked up all the people you guys told him to pick up on waivers.
Took
your advice,
like 3 or 4
and then ended up doing very good.
3-4 weeks in a row, he just kept taking all of our waiver picks, so we couldn't.
I would literally, yeah. Last year, I would watch you guys though, and I'd have my phone out, and I'd be like, "Who are they saying? No, okay, got them. Who are they saying? No, okay, got it." And it's just a matter of hopefully I'm on the top of the waiver. My pick is up there.
I much prefer having you over here in front of the camera rather than off screen somewhere and you're snarking.
If you want fantasy advice, do not come to me for waiver wire advice because I am not the waiver wire person. I don't work the waivers. That's not my thing. I'm a very draft my team. I don't do a lot of trades. I ride or die with my team, which is why Dynasty is not my favorite because I don't want to ride with these people for years to come. I want them to go away and I want to do it again. But it's okay. It's a new experience. It's interesting. I played Andrew in Dynasty this weekend, lost, so I'm not doing very good. But it's okay.
I actually beat Sean in our Dynasty League this week.
Sean's doing really good in there too.
Sean just taken so many L's to me this week. It's great.
The purpose of the taxi squad.
Sean. Quick question for Sean. Sean, were you watching that game? Because this poor guy, ladies and gentlemen, he had Edwards-Helaire. He needed a couple more points. Edwards-Helaire is just chewing up yardage on that final drive. And on 3rd down, he ends up getting like I think it was like 6-7 yard run to beat me until they threw the flag.
And it brought it back.
and then Kansas City put Pacheco in on the replay of that down, who got stuffed in the backfield. And they never got the ball back.
That's exactly what happened. Love fantasy.
John says it's the purpose of a taxi squad to put your rookies on there.
So a taxi squad is for dynasty leagues. A taxi squad is you basically can put your rookies on a taxi squad and they can stay there all year. They don't affect your roster at all. If you take a rookie off your taxi squad, though, and put them on your active roster, they cannot go back to your taxi squad. So it's a way to get rookies and keep your team fuller and be able to hold them, waiting for them to develop, basically, without them taking a roster spot is what a taxi squad is.
Or you can take Jahan Dotson off your taxi squad because you're sick and tired of Chase Claypool putting up goose eggs, and then you realize that Jahan Dotson is hurt. Why didn't no one tell me that before I took him off my taxi squad? And this is why I'm not the waivers person because I do not pay attention to injuries enough. I have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
So this one says I have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I'm a bit torn on keeping them both. What should I do?
I don't like having them both on the same team, but I like both of them, though. I have Tyreek Hill in one league and Jalen Waddle in a different one, and I really like both of them. I don't know that I would like to start 2 wide receivers from the same team every week.
Yep.
So I would try to
Trade
trade one of them and try to get I would try to trade a Waddle and get another like top tier wide receiver, just one that's on a different team.
Sometimes it's hard to do because people like their top receivers and like, why would I trade one for one? Maybe try and get like a running back or upgrade a tight end, something like that is usually what the go-to is.
Agreed.
That was my claim to fame. Andrew said you can do that in our league, right, Sid? Yes, we can start 2 quarterbacks because we have a super flex league. If you have a really bad team, though, you start
Jacoby Brissett.
And then I have Thielen and Jefferson. Thoughts on starting them both? I had to do it last week because Jacobs was a little sick and worked out. Thielen TD. Is that smart to do? Guaranteed point, or smart or dumb, guaranteed points. So I think I disagree with you guys on that. You guys said you don't like starting 2 on the same team. I think if you're in a pass-heavy offense or it's 2 dominant guys. In one league, I have DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and TJ Hawkinson, and I have no problem starting them.
I don't have problems doing that. I have problems starting
there's
2
a
wide receivers
difference.
from the same. I'm not going to start Deontay Johnson and Pickett.
If they're your best options, why not?
I would try to trade one, especially if what are you going to do on your bye week? If you care about your bye week. I normally don't care about my bye week. I just take the L. But also, say Kirk has a bad day. Now you got 2 wide receivers that had a bad day instead of only 1.
Yeah, but that's like avoiding a quarterback.
But I don't think Thielen. I'm not high on Thielen. That's all.
I mean, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, everybody's starting both of them, right? Yeah. Whether you have them individually. So why wouldn't you start them if you have them on the same team?
I would. If I had both of them, I would start both of them.
Right.
I would just prefer to not have 2 wide receivers from the same team. Is all. That would be starting. I mean, I would take I have Deontay in one league and Claypool in another, but I don't have to start. Claypool's only if I have to start him type thing. He's lower on my.
Well, and this one is the Thielen he had to start because of Jacobs, and
then I don't hate that either.
And I like having both of them because of injuries. I mean, they're both producing, so I don't mind starting both of them. I don't mind having both of them because if one gets hurt, then the other one just got boosted, and you have them both. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I don't think it's as bad as you guys think. I
don't think it. I mean, if you have both of those guys, I'm not dying to get rid of them. I mean, if those were the 2 best available and I was drafting, I wouldn't avoid Waddle because I had Hill because they're both that good. But if there were other people available, I wouldn't take them from the same team. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna draft Sutton and Judy and play both of them. I'm not gonna. I do that though, where I take a running back, a wide receiver from the same team. I don't mind that as much.
I don't like that more, I think, because the team's either going to be a good running team or a good passing team. There's very few teams that are good at both, and starting both is usually hard. So if you're going to go.
Not if you have a Amon-Ra and Swift.
Right. I mean, that's one that's just a high-powered offense both ways. But I don't. If a player is going to be a top 10 guy at their position, and you just happen to have 2 of them on your team, I don't think you should be scared because they're on the same team to start them.
Well, I'm not starting Waddle and Hill. I just probably wouldn't have drafted that way. Is all.
Whether it comes to drafting or starting a player, it's best available almost all the time. Sometimes you can get cute situationally. But if those were the 2 best available at the spots you were drafting and now you have them both, obviously you're going to start them. However, I would look to make my pick and offload them because, what was it, week 2? Week 2, right? When Miami went off with Baltimore? That's not That's not going to happen every week. Obviously, the Lions are rolling, and that we already talked about that. But I definitely don't like to put all my eggs in one basket. It's risky, very risky. But I mean, when you have 2 guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, super talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. My thing is if I only had one of them, would I always start them and it wouldn't be a question? Then it doesn't matter if I have the other one because I'm always like, so if I have Waddle on my team, he's probably a set it and forget it starter. I'm not looking at matchups, like, so it doesn't matter. Same thing with Tyreek Hill, so it's not going to affect me if I have them on but I agree, I wouldn't have them on the same team or try not to. But if I do, I'm not. It doesn't. I'm not worried about it.
I think it's a perfect opportunity to address holes in your roster when you have that situation, because if you have both of them, like the perceived value from most fantasy players on both of those guys is very high. So if you have a hole on your roster, this is a perfect way to address it.
Yep, trading for a tight end or running back, something like that. Like I said, yeah, go get a different position. 100%.
Okay, really quick, Sean. We know that Cooper Touch got bailed out 2 times. We don't need to talk about it. Go refs. Terry McLaurin got shut down by Diggs once again. It's the story of Scary Terry's life when he plays us. It's fine. Just admit it.
Again, back to fantasy football. I got to keep reeling these Cowboys fans back in.
Well, the Dallas defense did work.
This one says, do I trade Jamar Chase and Olave for Devonte Adams, Pierce, and Garrett Wilson? I would do that trade all day, every day, twice on Sundays. I love that trade.
Why?
I think T. Higgins is better than Jamar Chase.
I do too.
I think Garrett Wilson is as talented as Chris Olave. And I would take
Garrett Wilson over. Yes, I agree with that, I guess.
I'm saying, you asked why, and then wouldn't let me finish.
Because I know where you're going. That's sorry, I'll let you explain.
That's definitely unanimous.
Yeah, I would say because Olave is talented, but so is Garrett Wilson. I like Zach Wilson more than anything that's going on in New Orleans. Devonte Adams is Devonte Adams. He will get it together. I know he's slow right now, but I'm not worried. And Damian Pierce looks like him. So
I'm worried about Devonte Adams. Is it? But the upside of the other two is worth it.
It's still Devonte Adams.
I know. Devonte Adams ain't looking very Devonte Adams like.
He's still a top 15 receiver. He's just not the number 1 receiver.
He needs Aaron Rodgers back.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.